Let's have a word with John Ratcliffe, who, if I'm led to believe, is it your first ever start in one of these?
It is, yeah. I've never done a race start in a car before, Jamie, so this could be quite interesting.
Has the old man been giving you some tips?
A few, yeah, but he's a bit old and senile, so I don't think I can trust anything he says anymore. But David's been giving me some tips as well, which has been really good.
Yeah. P5, obviously it's your first time here in a Fun Cup because you weren't at this equivalent round last year due to other commitments, someone's birthday. You excited? Pace is good, isn't it?
Super excited. What a circuit this is. It's so much fun. And sort of, yeah, being up near the sharp end of the grid should be good. Try and keep out of trouble, try and stick in the toe because it's looking strong up that back straight.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, John. That's John Ratcliffe from the team Ratters Racing.
PLR Racing starting from the front row of the grid, indeed from pole position on the grid. And as we heard, it will be Ben Pitch starting the PLR Racing car. Alongside them, though, ominously, MJ Tech Racing, who have done a lot of the winning and a lot of the leading so far this season. Car 249 started by Scott Jeffs. Row number 2 then for the Vape Club with EDF Motorsports 246. That car started by Simon Coles, with Axia Metrics number 103 next. That is Chris Wetherell at the wheel. Team Ratters Racing start 5th in car 155. That car piloted by John Ratcliffe for the opening stint. And then number 99, JPR Team ACR, one of the guest cars, Aaron Cook, doing the opening half hour of the race. Another JPR hire car is next for 257. That one isn't on my list, so I can't tell you who's starting. Then it's 207, which is started by Jason Minshaw. He should be rapid. Then C Data, number 214, is next. That will be Matt Hogg at the wheel. And Olympian GRD, car number 1, started by Chris Devell. We heard from him just there. They're playing the long game as they always do. Be interesting to see how he goes in the opening part of the race. Morpheus Racing are next then, number 109. So Chris Hart and Steve Walton returning. Chris Hart and Steve Walton. Chris Hart doing the first part of the race with Green Heat's number 14 car alongside them on row number 6. That car started by Paul Turner. 7th row is where we will find Team 3 Motorsport. That's number 98 car of John Perrott, with Team Summers number 158 next. That's Gary Summers at the wheel. Another JPR hire car, number 97, is next. That is on the grid sheet there, just called 97 Team JPR for hire, but on our sheet, Fun Cup Tifosi, which I think sounds much better, so that's what we'll be going with. Adam Fawcett and Andrew Isherwood, both in their first ever car race, starting from 15th alongside number 104, EDF Motorsports for hire. That car started by Victor Cara. Signature RVs number 49 is next. That is Steve Ruston with Team Uvio Hoffman's Lotus, only 18 for the multiple former Anglesey winners, number 225. It is Fabulous Randaccio doing the opening stint of the race. Back row of the grid then for number 22, School Club Racing. Jack Constable, former TCR UK race winner, is starting that car. And as Fun Cup rules dictate, Morpheus Racing number 195, because they won our most recent race at Croft, have to start from the back of the grid and run 2x2 down through that corkscrew section, across the line, and when those red lights go out, we're away and racing for 3 hours in the Fun Cup Endurance Championship, the first of 2 races, round 4 of the 2024 Championship. PLR Racing versus MJ Tech on the front row of the grid. Who will get the jump into the first corner at target? We're about to find out. The lights go out, we're away and racing here at Anglesey, and it's a pretty even launch as you'd expect at the front of the field. A bit of 3 wide stuff further back, but as they round the first corner, it looks to me like they're still side by side for the lead, heading towards the banking. On the inside line, though, is the MJ Tech car of Scott Jeffs, and the former Euro NASCAR driver will get the lead as they go through the right-hander at turn number 2. Then Pitch slots into second, EDF are there in third, and Team Ratters Racing in 4th position as they now head towards the quick right-hander at Church Corner. Almost flat out, maybe not quite on cold tyres, then off onto the back straight, and this is the first opportunity to see how powerful that slipstream will be today as the cars all start closing in on each other, heading towards Rocket. Richard.
Yeah, this is a worrying moment for me coming up to Rocket. I mean, these guys know they've got a 3-hour race in front of them. Are they going to have a big sort out here? Yeah, a few positions being gained as they go into the Rocket complex for the first time.
3 abreast.
Yeah, 3 wide, and yeah, always that wonderful view that, not that they'll be focusing on that, either all the mountains in the background, but yeah, decent enough start, and I think everybody is through the first complex of corners. First lap worries out of the way thus far.
Car 103 on the move here. That is Chris Wetherell in the 103 Axia Metrics car going around the outside of Ratters Racing. That was for 4th position, and bringing with him, who is that? That's 99, I think, isn't it? That's Aaron Cook coming with them. Uvio getting their elbows out. I think that was Uvio versus Morpheus. Now that's an interesting battle. They're going to appear in shot almost side by side. At the back of screen there you can see Morpheus just getting the better of the black and gold Uvio car, but they are two of our expected race-winning contenders already doing battle, and I suspect Richard trading a little bit of paint through the corkscrew.
They'll do that. I mean, getting in front in the early stages is going to be as key as possible, because the cars are closer together, so the obvious answer is to make up as many spaces as you can, as the Uvio car has a quick look down the inside here and should make up another place.
Let's see then what happens. They're going through Church, and yes, he has got ahead of the Morpheus car. So Morpheus started by Neil Burrows, with Ted Bradbury to come in the second stint. Side by side further up the order, this is Team Ratters Racing, just continuing to lose a few spots. That 6th position they're losing, and now 7th as well, because on the inside comes Morpheus Motorsport, Chris Hart, one of 2 Morpheus Motorsports cars, not to be confused with the 195 car we were just referring to. And Chris Hart is like he's never been away. That was a lovely aggressive move, under braking into Rocket, and he steals that 7th place away from the 155 car that, remember, was started by John Ratcliffe. But great to have Chris Hart and Steve Walton back in the car. Chris Hart said that he was watching at Alton Park from the pit wall and just didn't enjoy it. He said he had to get back in the car. He's been doing some GT racing elsewhere, Ginettas, and then off racing in Britcar, I think. And he is very, very happy to be back in the Fun Cup Championship and getting stuck in straight away, Richard.
Yeah, good to see. I think Chris will be here with his son in a couple of weeks, because
yes,
we've got Ginetta Festival here. So if you're watching on the banks, come and treat yourself in a fortnight time as well.
I did actually. I interviewed Chris earlier on. You might see this interview later on in the day, but I asked him when his son was going to be jumping into a Fun Cup car, and he said that he's got a feeling Paul Rose might be losing some money at Alton Park at the end of the year. So I think there is a plan maybe to get young Charlie behind the wheel before too much longer. I'd like to see that. Yeah,
and of course we've seen with, obviously, Ted Bradbury can come through the Ginetta Junior route, but yeah, you know, youngster coming into Mazdas, and there's a big feeling that some youngsters could nick that bounty. I've been peddling it to a lot of different drivers, and it's a lot of people kind of aren't aware. They're aware of Fun Cup, they weren't aware of the bounty there, and it is opening up as I spread the word, spread the gospel according to the roses. People wanting to have a look and thinking about coming in, and have gone back and enjoyed the streams, enjoyed watching the racing.
And you can see why, because every time they arrive up at Rocket there is a lunge to be had. That was Fabulous Randaccio, I think, wasn't it, storming up the inside, and also the number 1 Team Olympian GRD car, so that's Chris Doval at the wheel. He was actually getting his elbows out too, and trying to gain a few positions. The leading pack descends upon the corkscrew at the end of another lap, and MJ Tech Racing, as we sort of expected them to do, they are starting to stretch away at the head of the field ever so slightly. They've got the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 20.522, and they are nearly 2 seconds out the road from PLR Racing, who are holding their own in second. Third is the Bait Club with EDF Motorsports car, and this then, Richard, is the fight for 4th position. Axia Metrics and JPR Team ACR absolutely nose to tail then as they headed through the banking.
How much of... Oh, well, we've got our first stoppage.
Oh no, 104. That's Victor Cara, was Morpheus, I think that was on the grass. Now where is Victor Cara? He is exit of Rocket, we think, so he has pulled off, I think, rather than gone off.
I'd say that was Jamie's fault for interviewing you, but to be fair to Jamie, he did interview a lot more than one person, didn't he? So
yes, let's hope he's not put the curse on everybody, otherwise this could be a slightly interesting race. But my main concern is that that car is not in too dangerous a position, because if it is, then that could lead to a safety car. It's not unheard of to have safety cars here at Anglesey. I'll pull up a stat on that in a moment if we get the chance, but hey, there is every likelihood, I think, if that car is stuck trackside and can't move, that we're going to get a safety car. And it's almost, Richard, like I know what I'm talking about, because the safety car does indeed make an appearance for the first time, and that only took us 3 laps.
Is that a record? It's going to be a record for Anglesey, isn't it?
I'll find out.
Unless you all piled into Rocket one time and took each other out, so that's the thing. So thinking caps go on for everybody in the very early stages.
It took a couple of laps to get your head around it, as you said.
Yeah, some of the fancy cars now have got this power steering nonsense. We're not running that, we don't need that stuff.
All right, thanks a lot. That's Martin Gibson from Team GT Tyres. As we go, green flag is back to Andy McEwen and Richard John Neal.
Thank you, Jamie. Your timing impeccable as always, because the race has just restarted. A very brief safety car interlude there, and immediately, Richard, this battle for 4th is launching back into life. Axia Metrics and Team JPR Team ACR. This is Chris Wetherill in the orange and grey 103 car, and Aaron Cook in the number 99. And these two have been at each other since the drop of the green flag.
Yeah, they're going to carry on, aren't they? So I suppose the good thing about getting an early safety car is it does sort of put everybody back in. We've got a car in pit lane as well, 104.
Cover off.
Yep.
When their teammate car on the move, Richard. Sorry, that's the 246 on the inside of PLR Racing. So PLR, who were holding their own nicely in second place, they will not have enjoyed seeing that safety car.
No, for sure. That has changed things around, and they're heading down towards Peel. I'm sure I've told the story about John Peel many times, haven't I?
Possibly, but remind me.
John Peel did his national service here. That's topical again, isn't it now, national service?
Yes, I believe so.
Other parties are available. Too many of them. But that's why Richard Peacock named that corner.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't know that. There is the 104 car there. That's bursting back into life. That's
Do you know who John Peel is, by the way? Or was?
Again, remind me.
DJ. Liverpool-based DJ, did all the independent kind of records that were really weird back in the day. That nearly sounded a little bit like it.
I did think he said Liverpool, but I must have been mistaken. Thank you for the education.
He wasn't too scouted, to be fair.
Wasn't he?
No.
That's your excuse. You could tell me that and I wouldn't have a clue. You're telling the truth.
Nobody knows who John Peel is these days.
Anyway, into church goes this battle with, which happened third, I think, isn't it? JPR Team ACR have got past the Axia Metrics at last, and they've now got past PLR Racing as well, bringing with them perhaps the Axia Metrics, although Ben Pitch comes back now at Aaron Cook. May well reclaim third place with that notoriously powerful slipstream up the back straight. He's got the inside line into Rocket Corner. And does he slip through? Forces Cook over the exit curve onto the grass. But Aaron Cook stands his ground and keeps the inside line for the right element of the Rocket complex. And I think might have got the place back. So 3 positional changes in one corner really there for third place. And it is that 99 car that's moving forward. PLR in danger here, aren't they, of just slipping back into the midfield.
Yeah, you don't want to get engrossed in all that. Again, another great shot. Look at this. Really gives you the feel. If you haven't had a chance to walk the circuit, I mean, first of all, the first thing is come here to win scoring. Might have expected to see them grab a win. Maybe that's going to come today. Certainly the pace coming through from the starting position looking very good at the moment. But it's all about this championship. The races are all about endurance and keeping it going and being at the sharp end of things when you get to the end of the race. Same championship-wise as well. Third, fourth, no big issue, is it? No wins, but it doesn't matter. Really good solid points, solid fourth place in the table.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, MJ Tech have had 2 race wins and a third place and second place, excuse me. So they've been very consistent. But yeah, teams like Uvio, they've been up there. They haven't yet won a race, and we won't dwell on that any longer. But if you get a chance to see it up close in the pit box at some point, you will know what I'm talking about. Anyway, they're up into the top 4 now, but they've got a bit of a gap to bridge now. Nearly 3 seconds up to the JPR Team ACR.
The safety car.
They could do with a little safety car, couldn't they? And they may get their wish, because it is, as I've said, a track where safety cars can occur, and that's the kind of behaviour that will bring about a safety car if you're not too careful. That was the 207 car, I think, the Wave 9 car, just drifting a bit wide onto the grass on the exit of Church Corner. See now the problem really for Fabulous is that he's got to the front of this queue, but now he's punching the hole in the air, he's creating the slipstream for everybody else to follow in, and he's not dropping them perhaps quite as quickly as he caught them.
No, he'll do a little bit of towing along, won't he, now? So thankfully not too many areas, because we haven't got the long run up the international circuit into the hairpin and back, so those 2 sort of towing opportunities are gone. But
perfect conditions really for quick lap times, haven't we, at the moment? It's not too hot, it's not too windy, it's nice and dry. We've got some quick cars in clean air who are putting some good lap times together. These cars aren't in clean air. That's a big lunge on the inside, up and over the curb, and 2 places gained in very robust fashion, and that must be that Team GT Tyres car of Jack Dollar. Well, that was a Mazda MX-5 mood if ever I saw one.
And we'll now, having got a couple of wheels on the podium, look to try and move up towards the second place car, the JPR 99 car. There's really good progress being made at the moment, so fascinating, as these races always are, right the way through. You'll get a little bit of settling of parts of the field over the course of the 3 hours, but racing will crack on. So,
and this car, I would argue, Richard, looks a bit pacier, the Uvio car, than it has done for the last couple of rounds. They've been there or thereabouts, but I feel like we haven't seen this kind of attacking, driving, charging through the field. They look every bit as quick as MJ Tech. Indeed, they've set a faster lap so far, and I think they could well be on course for maybe their first win of the year this weekend.
Yeah, you're right. I can't comment on Alton. I wasn't there in the flesh, but certainly the race we had at Croft looking a lot sharper. So yeah, position-wise, very much there. and looking good to try and close down on the leaders, and of course a great pair of drivers in that car. The driving force for me with Fun Cup seems to get stronger every year. Say it about a lot of championships, but genuinely a lot of very good, and that shouldn't put off rookies coming in either, to my mind. You know, if you're looking at this, watching the stream, thinking about having a look at Fun Cup, it is a sort of specialised formula, but then they all are. Every formula will have its quirks. I was talking to one of the Mazda Super Cup driver dads earlier on in the day, and he was saying that I won't say which team it was, but they were saying they've come into other formulas and won. And every so often, if you do try and change your mind, you will find some that suit you, some that don't. So as a newcomer, don't let that put you off coming into Fun Cup. It's a great environment, superb cars, great people, fantastic atmosphere. Give it a go. Come and have a go and enjoy yourself and entertain us here on the track and on the street.
Indeed so, and great racing should continue hopefully through 3 hours, because as Richard said, the strength in depth we've got this year means it's unlikely that one team is going to pull away and dominate. Skull Club there trying to sneak into the top 10. That is the Jack Constable driven car, into 11th place at the moment on the tail of the JPR for hire number 257, which has itself been making some moves in the early part of the race. But Burrows and Ted Bradbury car, I hadn't spotted that. They've just been wheeled out just behind the race leaders, but they must have lost a couple of laps. In fact, 8 laps down.
Wow.
8 laps down, so I hadn't spotted that car creeping in.
Me neither.
Must have come in just at the start of the pit window, but it's been in the garage for a while. Meanwhile, on track, MJ Tech with a narrow lead over Uvio. So, you know that slow pit stop that I thought Uvio might have? They proved me wrong.
What problems have they brought out with them, though, with the damage? And was it maybe just a little off, and then maybe thinking, right, we're getting to the end of the driving stint, so it might be that they were just getting ready to come in. You lose too much in terms of the positions as a result, but the 249 car's still there.
Jamie has literally just sent me a message a few seconds ago saying 195 has a power issue and will be brought into the garage at the pit stop. Yes, we know, Jamie. We've seen that now. Power issue we didn't know, though, so thank you for that information, Jamie. What exactly was causing that, I'm unsure, but that has led to that car being brought into the pit lane. They manage it time after time after time. It doesn't matter what racetrack we go to, it doesn't matter what group of drivers and teams we have battling at the front, we always get lead changes, we always get overtaking, and there we had a big snap of oversteer for Will Abraham as he went into Peel Corner, drifted out wide, and so Farkini is back alongside him now as they head down towards the corkscrew. That's the outside line for the Uvio car, and he decides better of that particular move.
Excellent stuff, isn't it? And this for the lead. There are plenty of other battles going on down the order, but at the moment we don't even have to. Yeah, Will getting it crossed up coming out of that final turn, and you can see why he's under big pressure here. Guys, you've got plenty of time to sort this out.
Hey, no complaints from me. This is what we like to see. This is good, hard racing, and they both know that if they could get the lead and get away, you take control of the race, and that at this point can be so crucial. We are almost a third of the way into this race already. A couple of seconds on MJ Tech in the pit lane. That is experience for you.
Yeah, that's what it's about, isn't it?
That was amazing.
Great work.
Yeah, fantastic. And the car, that's why the car now looks transformed.
Yeah,
so it obviously was just the area damage. A couple of drivers have told me over the years this is one of the worst tracks to be carrying splitter damage at, because you're so reliant on the front end sticking through all of these tight technical corners, and those front splitters, they're not there for decoration. They do create quite a bit of downforce, and I'm not convinced it's been fitted, or have they just folded it back out maybe, because it's still a bit loose, I think, on that left front corner. So I wonder if it had just been folded in and they've pulled it back out. So either way, that would explain, I suppose, why they were able to do it so quickly. But it means that perhaps there's a chance it could come loose again later on in the race. For now, though, it's working well for Farkini, and he is on the tail of MJ Tech. Farkini sees the inside, goes to the inside, and moves back through into the race lead. So Uvio Hoffman's Lotus back to the front of the pack, and that was another nice move under braking.
Yeah, textbook Anglesey stuff, wasn't it, as well? Will Abraham, I think, knew that was coming. I thought he might have gone for a cutback on the second part of the complex, but it's kind of a fait accompli, isn't it, there?
Yes, it was. That was a nice move, and it puts the 225 car back in front. Just to remind you, the third car in this shot, that is Ted Bradbury. Normally, we would be saying, and Ted Bradbury's catching them to battle for the lead, but he's 8 laps down, remember. He does, though, have a chance to gain one of those laps back here. That is a legitimate chance he's got.
And he will want to do that,
he will
won't he?
definitely want to do
Are
that,
there points
yes.
for fastest lap?
There is a point for fastest lap, yes. So, which at the moment, of course, is going to the race leader, so maximum
3 hours
points.
slog, and you get a point for
exactly. You do get rather more points for winning a race, though, so I suppose that really is the most important. 70 points for winning a race. It might be 2 points, actually, for fastest lap. I'm doubting myself now. It might be 2 points.
The one that always made me laugh was the mini challenge, and I did the live stream on mini challenge before I joined the token package, and 6 points for fastest lap, 5 points for this driver that got second fastest lap.
Yeah. So for now, maybe we're actually quite happy just to log some laps. They're pulling a real gap on the rest of the field. That gap has doubled now, back to third place since the pit stop. So maybe that's his strategy, just log laps, stick with the UVO car. He's still got 2 hours after all to try and get that lead back.
Yeah, if you could pull a gap and then scrap it out in the last sort of 20 minutes, half an hour, or the last session. Are the drivers, once they're committed to these numbers, I'm pointing for the people who can't see what I'm pointing at, which is everybody basically. We've got a sheet with the driver order on. Can the drivers change that once they've submitted it, or do they have to stick with that?
Unfortunately, yes, they can, and they often do.
Right,
so
okay.
I'll get a little message sometimes halfway through a stint from a driver saying, I'm not in the car, actually.
So you could, again, if strategy came into play, you could change it around.
100%.
As long as you do the mandatory stops.
Exactly, so yeah, as long as you come in during that window, you don't have to actually do a drive change, or if you weren't planning on doing, you could have an extra driver change that you weren't planning. But these two teams in particular, they've both got very evenly matched quick drivers. They tend to stick to the plan. It's sometimes the teams that have sort of one-star driver. Nigel Greensall used to do this quite a lot when he was in a car with other drivers. If they were doing well, he might do an extra stint at the end. If he wasn't doing so well, he might give that extra stint to one of the customers. So, you know, that sort of makes sense. But when you're up there fighting for the win and you've got two evenly matched drivers, which I've always said is the secret, really, then you don't tend to do that. That's the 251 car off the road, isn't it? 257, sorry. Which 257 is 251, isn't it? Or yes, it is 251, which is off coming out of Peel, and that car's going nowhere. Oh, it's lost a wheel. It's lost a wheel, so now that's odd. We don't have tyre changes in Fun Cup, so it's very odd for a car an hour into the race, Richard, to lose a wheel. It could be a curb strike that's done some damage, or maybe contact with another car, but either way, that car is not going to be recovered under its own steam, and we are 1 minute away from our second pit window. But the safety car is out. The safety car's out, the pit window's open. Is anybody able to pit? I don't think they are. Time there, the safety car was coming out, but anyway, they're going to gain a big advantage if they choose to pit at the end of this lap, which I imagine they will do.
Everything thrown in the air.
Yeah. Would you expect any less? Let's see, are they coming in? Yep, here they come. First and second place, both into the pit lane. This is Farkini to hand back over to Fabulous. This is Will Abraham to hand back over to Scott Jeffs. And will they do fuel? Yes, MJ Tech are doing fuel. What's happening with UVO? Yes, they're doing a churn of fuel as well. So 1 churn of fuel each for the top 2 cars. And I really think, Richard, they're going to get out of the pit lane just about when the safety car gets here. Now, there might be a red light at the end of the pit lane if they're not too careful. How quickly can they get the fuel? Oh, it's 2 churns for UVO. Was that, you were watching the MJ Tech stop, Richard? Was that 1 churn of fuel?
It was just the one, yeah.
So they will get ahead. Simon Rudd is in now, everyone else, of course, coming in. So I think that it's going to be MJ Tech back in the lead because they're going to go past, there they go, look, past UVO in the pit lane. So MJ Tech will have the lead. That's nearly a collision in the pit lane. That was the Wave 9 and the Axia Metrics car nearly colliding as pit lane suddenly becomes the place to be.
It certainly does. Exciting times.
Yeah, you can see there, look, Greenheath have boxed Team PLR in. They're stuck behind Seed Data. I don't know where PLR are going to go. Oh my word, this is getting very messy indeed of the queue. They've got 2 lapped cars between themselves and UVO, who then have the number 1 car right behind them. Now, number 1 is now being driven by Chris Devell again, so they're saving Riley Phillips for the final 2 stints of the race by the looks of it. On they go then, and in towards target corner we head for the 52nd time of asking, and Axia Metrics have just set the fastest lap. in fact, the fastest laps now, Trey, I think that might be a timing glitch, potentially.
I think it probably is, yeah.
I think it probably is. I hope it is, anyway. The real target here, I suppose, is for Uvio to get past these lapped cars as quickly as possible and set back off after the race leader, because we know that car, yes, it's heavy on fuel, Richard, but they have been quick, and they will definitely want to try and assert their authority once more by grabbing the lead.
They definitely will, yeah. And yeah, good stop, good strategy going on. Got the inside run coming up towards Rocket here, so another car ticked off.
Yep, so that's both of those lapped cars. One of them, of course, is the 195. Now, it should be Neil Burrows in that car. They may have now altered their driving strategy after losing so many laps, but they are very much still at front-running pace, aren't they, 195? Albeit stuck those 8 laps down.
Well, they go so quickly.
Yep, they do. It is endurance racing in name only, really, this, isn't it? Now, this looks interesting. This is Chris Devell trying to put a lap on the 207, which he lunges to the inside of, but Greenheath are going to steam up the middle 3 wide. There isn't the room for 3 cars through Rockets. Something had to give, and it's the Wave 9 car that's being lapped that ends up with 2 wheels on the dirt. There's a screech of tyres from EDF, I think that was, getting sideways, but this is all getting very lively indeed. The 207 car is a lap down. Car. Laps down still, but running in 19th place. You score points wherever you finish, so even if you are multiple laps down, you could be 20 laps down, it's still worth carrying on. You can still pick up some points for finishing even right at the bottom end of the leaderboard. Whereas now is put a further lap down by Greenheath. 5th place car going through. Now, Signature RV are showing us having the fastest lap, but I actually don't think that's right. I think it is still Uvio who have the fastest lap. It's a slight timing glitch with our timing data, so Uvio still with the fastest lap, but Harry Mailer is definitely getting racy, and look at that, he's sort of forced Neil Burrows into a move on Greenheath. There's then contact with Signature RV and Greenheath, and Olympian GRD nearly get caught up in all of that as well, but that was all, I think, really caused by Neil Burrows maybe getting distracted by Harry Mailer, and almost then making the move on Greenheath.
Yeah, it just goes to show, doesn't it, how things can come unstuck with drivers that are a lap down getting embroiled as well.
It's a bit messy.
Number 1 car nearly got back into the position, didn't they, over the Signature RV machine, but couldn't quite do it, couldn't quite carry the momentum forward.
Yeah, the Signature RV might have picked up some damage from that. That front splitter looks a little bit loose to me. They might have to apply some of the old tank tape to that to keep it together. And Greenheath now with a big moment over the curbs as well. That's Paul Turner living life on the edge. It's not a nice place to lose control, and he very nearly did so there. But again, another car that just doesn't seem to have any rear grip. Let's take a look, shall we, then, at that moment up at Rocket Corner. This was it. So Neil Burrows, I think he misses his braking point here, Neil Burrows, because he's that focused on Harry Mailer that he almost ends up going up the side of Greenheath, and of course sort of parks it on the apex, and there's the contact. Could have been a lot worse, that, but no major damage done. Oh no, my word, now this is major damage though, and that is Skull Club and Greenheath both with damaged left rear corners. So there's been a 3-way bit of contact up at the top of Rocket, and this is going to be another safety car just as we get to a pit window. So now what's going to happen? You can see the damage done to the Skull Club car of Jack Constable, the Greenheath car as well. Those cars are going no further under their own steam, but that was all that little group of cars that we've just been focusing on, because Neil Burrows was also involved in that. Jack
Noller was saying, wasn't he, in the interview with Jamie when he was down in pit lane, about the differences between Fun Cup and Mazda racing, what you can and can't do in the Relative Championship. These cars are just a little bit more fragile, and you've seen that they're a little, not totally fragile, but you just need to avoid that kind of thing. That's a shame to see those 2 cars damaged.
It is, isn't it? Identical damage as well, so I'm intrigued as to how that's happened. Because now there were a few places between them. I wonder if Greenheath has spun with Neil Burrows and then Jack Constable's arrived on the scene. That could be what happened, but we'll try and piece it together, maybe. There's a little bit of an unfortunate moment. Those 2 cars are stopped right in the firing line now, but Rocket, I don't see any way that they can not throw the safety car. The lights are on the safety car, so again, I think we are going to see that very shortly. The pit window should be open. The safety car's being thrown, and the pit lane window open board is out. So, well, we know what's going to happen here, don't we, Richard? Jamie Peters-Ennis had better stand well back, because I think he's about to have some company.
Yeah, he is.
I could see him running to the pit wall out of my window.
Jamie, give us a wave. Jamie, give us a wave. Yeah, there we go.
Yes, Jamie's been here before. He knows the score.
Yeah, and actually where he's positioned himself, of course, is to get the proper view of what's going on right the way over the over the length of the pit lane. In comes the signature RV car.
And everybody else.
First one and everyone else, but signature RV first to reach out. It's going to be a driver change.
No fuel.
Not getting any fuel either by the look of it, because driver going in and belts being done up. So
not seeing anyone get fuel really.
98's getting fuel.
Oh, are they? Okay. Yes, they are. They're a lap down. Yes, they're a lap down. All of the lead lap cars not going for no fuel.
Olympian GRD's getting fuel.
And PLR Racing double fuel. So that's fuel to the end now for PLR Racing, taking the chance behind the safety car. Uvio have had a slow stop. They've lost a lot of ground there. Farkini back in now instead of Fabio. I didn't spot whether they took fuel, but that was a slow stop, definitely, for Uvio. Jamie were boxed in. Then Jamie tells us, I believe the time, where our eventual race winning team starts to assert itself, but so far really it's all been about that number 249 car, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. That's been the sort of line through the script, isn't it, thus far, or the theme through the script of the day that we've had so far. And well, we saw at Croft that things could change in the closing laps of the race. The same could happen here, but if you know you've got the pace, particularly as we're heading into another 3-hour race a little bit later on today, momentum is a thing that carries, isn't it, in fun car?
100%, yeah, especially on a day like this. And if you've got the car at the sweet spot, then you want to try and keep it there across the two races, don't you? Right then, green flag waves again, an hour and a quarter to go, and MJ Tech Racing lead the way by 8/10 over Signature RV. There, though, is the car that I expect to make all the moves. Riley Phillips, car number 1, already on the attack, trying to relieve Vape Club with EDF of 6th place, which he's done already as they headed into the banking. Riley Phillips wasting no time.
Uvio Hoffman car about to pick off Ratters Racing in the 155. So yeah, both cars that you mentioned, you know this inside out without your stats.
That's 3 times, but right now my ego is starting to expand a bit too quickly, I think. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't take a genius, does it?
That's
to figure
one
out
thing
that
you
still
don't
be
have,
quick.
Andy.
Thank you, Richard. That's very nice of you. My word, that was a late defensive move, and it's not even going to work because look at that. Riley Phillips right round the outside of Farkini. That was fantastic.
Yeah, I've not seen that too often. Trying the inside run, then deciding it wasn't going to happen, doing the outside run, and making it work.
Wow.
And good respect as well from the Uvio car as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, Farkini didn't have much of a say in that, did he? He tried to cover, and Riley was having none of it. But again, that probably was assisted by the extra weight in the Uvio car, because Farkini had to brake a lot earlier than Riley could. He's gone round the outside of Signature RV now. So Riley Phillips, who started the lap 7th, I think is in 3rd position now, just behind the Axia Metrics. Yes, he is. So 7th to 3rd in 1 lap for Olympian GRD. I thought that car would be a factor before the end, and now is the time when it's starting to make its move.
Amazing stuff, isn't it? And urgency once the drivers just want to get back into it. Oh, is that the Vape Club car?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, having a little bit of a sideways moment. Yeah, once the safety car is away, the drivers are keen. Some of them are going to be a bit frustrated with, you know, having seen so much safety car, they want to get on with the racing and they'll throw everything at it.
Yes, Riley Phillips, by the way, second now. Yeah. He's overtaken quicker than we can keep up. And no one else can keep up with him either, really, now. Riley Phillips into 2nd place. He took the restart, 3 minutes ago, in 7th position. He is now in 2nd place and only a couple of seconds off the race lead. It's all kicking off at the back of that group, though, between EDF, Ratters Racing and Signature RV. That's Ratters Racing on the inside of the Signature RV car, which has done the opposite of what Riley Phillips has done. That was 2nd, and it's about to drop down into 7th spot now as they round the right-hander at Peel Corner. So a bit of a difficult restart this for Steve Ruston, but if they can keep that car in the mix, then Harry Mailer will get back on board it later on and might be able to make a few more moves.
You can see from the body language of the car there, Riley Phillips is gunning for to try and get up with the race leader now. What's the gap as they cross the line? 1.7.
That was a 120.7 for Riley Phillips with an overtake. He was only a 10th of a second away from the fastest lap of the race. That was incredible pace from Riley Phillips. Sorry, a 10th of a second away from that car's best lap, 3/10 off the fastest lap. Still very quick, all things considered. Now he's in clean air. I think he will be with MJ Tech by maybe the end of the lap.
Could well be. Scrap on for third place. Uvia Hoffman busy challenging the Axia Metrics 103. So that's the other car that you wanted to keep an eye on. Battle scarred as it is, still delivering some great pace here. Heading up in towards Rocket, comes out, makes the moves on the brakes, dives down the inside line. That's P3.
That is a lovely camera angle, isn't that? Because it exaggerates that late jink to the inside that they're making into Rocket. It looks very, very exciting indeed. Credit, because this is a brilliant run from Riley Phillips, and that was a brilliant move up the inside into Rocket Corner. The Olympian GRD car from 7th to 1st in, what was that, about 4 laps? That's incredible.
Yeah, amazing stuff, isn't it? And now the narrative is changing, isn't it? So the two not finished, because we've still got an hour and a little bit on the clock remaining. Stops to go as well. The pit lane window will be open again very shortly, so we've got 2 more stops to have to deal with. So it could all still change, as indeed can the other podium positions.
And like the expert commentator that I tried to be, I can't remember what fuel strategy those top 2 are on, because I think everyone's on slightly different fuel strategies now.
Yeah.
I think MJ Tech need fuel at one of the stops. I'm pretty sure Olympian GRD are on the same strategy.
Talking strategy, Scott Woodward has got his sorted out, hasn't he?
Ah, yes.
Well
a double
done,
refuelling stop going on for Mr. Woodwis
Well done,
in
Scott.
the commentary box.
Sound strategy.
Yes, we weren't invited onto that strategy. We'll have to make our own strategy.
Would have been a bit difficult, wouldn't it?
I'd have found a way. I would have found a way. Right, Olympian, we're being told off now. Olympian leading the way. Olympian GRD, I should say, to give them their full title. I believe they've got some GRD members here as well. They're the main sponsor of the Olympian GRD squad. They've got some people here as guests. So welcome to Anglesey. Welcome
That's good,
to Cup.
Simon's had them on various cars over the seasons, and I always welcome the mention. So great to have them along. I'm sure they're enjoying it.
And I'm sure they are, especially now that their car is disappearing into the race lead, but what awaits on fuel. I know they don't like telling us about fuel strategy, but if Jamie can do some digging down in the pit lane, in fact he's talking to Simon Rudd now, so and I think maybe we can have a little word with Simon, because he might just spill a few seconds. One thing I've seen, I know that this track surface is known for being a bit challenging in that regard, but I really am baffled to see how little grip some of these cars have got. Neil Plimmer was one of the drivers who said that, as I said earlier on, he was hoping for some rain, because actually in the dry he felt the track was almost undrivable. Demonstrating that again there, really. So, across the line goes Riley Phillips, another lap in the books, and I think I just spotted there, he's nearly 10 seconds clear now of MJ Tech. That was 5 seconds when our last checked, so not only a quick stint, but a consistently quick stint for Riley Phillips. That being said though, everybody's lap time's dropping off. He just did a 21.5, which is 1.3 seconds off the fastest lap of the race that he set earlier on, but it was still 1.2 seconds quicker than MJ Tech. You normally only see this sort of drop off in time when it does rain, and it's really interesting the way that all of a sudden the track conditions have just gone away from the drivers.
Temperature-wise, it'll be different again this evening, and we'll lose a couple of degrees, so that'll make
might be a good
little bit of a... Yeah, could well be.
But, this is see data just in front of them. Axia Metrics have just made their ultimate pit stop. Didn't see any fuel going on board either of those cars. Oh, and a moment out of the window I've just seen up at Rocket, the 97 car nearly firing itself off the road. But just about gathering it together. Here's the leader though. And Riley Phillips, I think, will stay out right to the end of this stint. I think he'll do another 3.5 minutes or so. Why would you bring him in when he's pulling a second or more a lap over the opposition?
If the pace is there, then that's the thing, isn't it? Stay with it. Simon Rudd's no slouch either, though. So they're really, crack team.
Certainly are. Simon Rudd there on the inset, getting ready to go out. His car is somewhere, I'm not sure where, over at the top end of the circuit. Oh, it's just heading up towards Rocket, so he's got half a lap or so to wait, and then he'll be on board for his final stint of the race. And well, this is going to be a very important pit stop, isn't it? If they need to take fuel either now or at the final stop, that 10-second or so lead that they had will shrink. I actually don't think it will disappear completely, though. I think they're far enough ahead of MJ Tech now. They should be able to fuel without losing position, but it will tighten things up, which is exactly what we want to see. Here he is, down the hill. Now is a good time to pit as well, because he's catching a big knot of traffic, so in will come Riley Phillips. I think I just said Simon Rudd again. It is Riley Phillips for another 10 seconds or so, who is at the wheel of car number 1. There is Simon Rudd. And let's see, is there fuel waiting? I don't see any fuel waiting, no, because they're putting Simon straight in. So a no fuel pit stop, at least for this occasion. But one more stop to go.
21 seconds down.
They may have now dropped, well, yeah, they've just dropped behind MJ Tech, so I think that will update. But yeah, they're still in contention, but I think they probably need a safety car or something, which is a possibility, I guess, on average here at Anglesey. Last safety car, well, comes about 40 odd laps from the end of the race. We don't tend to get many late safety cars, so often because we've had so many earlier on in the race that we thinned the field out by that point, and there isn't really anyone left. But reasonably high attrition rate in this race, although there's only 2 cars not running, Morpheus Racing and Skull Club, because Greenheath, I believe, are back out again. Yes, they are. See them going up the back straight. So Greenheath, after that damage they sustained not that long ago, really, are circulating once again. So good work for the team.
Practice Racing coming under pressure from Signature RV.
Yeah, so Olympian GRD are 20 seconds clear of MJ Tech, so it must have been a slow stop for MJ Tech. Regardless of whether or not they took fuel, they just weren't as quick at the driver change, perhaps. And that's where Olympian GRD caused such a gap. But we now need to watch the lap times, don't we, see whether or not Scott Jeffs can eat into that advantage at all, in the hope, perhaps, that Olympian GRD are going to have to take on more fuel a little bit later on. There's a stop-go penalty for someone, I think. There's a board being held out over the pit wall. Can't from this angle see the number on the board. 98?
It's got a 9 on the end, I think.
Oh, a 9 on the end. That would be, well, there are 3 cars with a 9 at the end. One of them is MJ Tech. I hope it's not them. The other's JPR 99, Signature RV. Oh, and Morpheus. So there's a few, actually. A few candidates. What it's for, I don't know. But anyway, hopefully it's not going to affect any of the leaders. Jamie, by the way, tells us that the MJ Tech stop was fine. It's just that because they're at pit entry end, it's a very tight entry. They've got to go around the end of that barrier and weave in. So he thinks maybe that's where they lost their time. But 8 seconds is a lot of time to lose.
Still can't see the number on the... Oh, nearly got a glimpse there.
I think it might be 98. It might be 98.
Yeah, I might have misread the end number.
Possible. We haven't got the clearest view, in fairness, but we'll see when they bring the board in, maybe. Oh, there we go. 98, Team 3 Motorsport.
You were right, 5 times today.
This is a record. I'm going to be talking utter nonsense in race 2. This won't last, will it? An 80-second stop-go penalty, that is, for a yellow flag infringement. So that has to be something fairly serious, overtaking under yellow flags or something to that effect for 98. That will drop them definitely out of 12th place, where they are actually on the lead lap. So we've got 12 cars on the lead lap still, which is pretty impressive this deep into the race.
It is, but some good performances out there. I was just looking at championship positions and how that's going to change, and you kind of get into the scenario when once the season develops. I mean, this is obviously the 3rd event of the year. You get the tracks where some people prefer them. Get it in F4 a lot more than others, where you get your roading team doing better than your Fortec team, and then it switches at another. And I guess you definitely would have noticed that in the past. Are there any sort of, who is it regularly shines here on Anglesey?
It always used to be Sherrodai's UK, which was the Marcus Clutton and the other driver. They always used to. Peter Belshaw, there we go, thank you, Peter Shearer. Peter Belshaw and Marcus Clutton, they always used to win here at Anglesey. They had a run of wins in a row, I think, about 5 or 6 years ago or so, and they were always quick here. And then that sort of moved over to Uvio. They had a few wins here at Anglesey over 2 or 3 years maybe, but there hasn't been particularly a pattern, I'd say, over the last... Well, actually, Uvio won both races here a year ago. They won both of the 3-hour races at Anglesey. In fact, the last 2 years, there we go, first time I've been wrong today, because Uvio, there has been a pattern, because in the last 2, 4, 6 races at Anglesey, Uvio have won 5 of them.
Wow.
So they have been the dominant force, really. The last team not called Uvio to win here at Anglesey was DispatchBay.com back in 2021. So it has been a while since they didn't win. And they're not out of contention now. They're in third place. It only takes a safety car and they're right back in it. So we've seen that car's had good pace. But yeah, it does seem more than any other track to be a bit of a specialist's track, doesn't it? Certain teams just click with it for a few years and make good on that.
That can actually get the regular spectators fired up as well, because it's nothing like, it's the glory thing, isn't it, with following your Man Cities and your Man Uniteds and things like that. And if you go along and particularly with Fabulous,
Yes.
you know, you've got a couple of characters that are doing well. That's the stop to, isn't it? Oh, 249.
MJ Tech
Big
have got a
story.
stop go. Sorry to cut across you there, but a stop go penalty for MJ Tech Racing. Championship leaders, second in the race, and a stop go penalty. That will likely drop them, I would say, behind Uvio and possibly behind Seed Data and Axia Metrics as well. That could be big.
Yeah, that's 4 or 5 places. That's championship lead, isn't it? That's that territory.
Good point, good point. Now, it will become their drop score, but before drops, yeah, absolutely, they're in danger of losing the championship lead, especially because Olympian GRD are perhaps on course for a race victory. Remember that MJ Tech's worst finish of the year so far has been second, that coming in the most recent race at Croft, but they are perhaps going, well, they may still finish second because they may still be able to get back up there, but that now takes the pressure off Olympian GRD, doesn't it? If they have to refuel at this final stop, they're no longer going to be under quite so much pressure.
Yeah, you never know, do you? We were talking about safety cars, and we might still get a safety car, but do we know what the transgression was for? Sorry, I missed that.
Speeding in the pit lane.
Speeding, okay.
So they sped in the pit lane.
And we're still slow.
And we're still slower, yes. It's
Let's
like
rub
people,
it in a bit more.
Well, it's like people that jump the start to a race. They almost always lose positions when they do so. I think the car may have still been slightly rolling, but anyway. Hopefully no one noticed, and he's back on his way. And
Maybe
actually,
on the stream. all around the world.
didn't lose too much time. And actually, I don't think he even lost a place. He's back out in front of Uvio, but they're quite close together. So that's a good battle to try and focus on now. They're just heading through the banking at turn 2, and I reckon MJ Tech are just ahead. Never looked quite as quick since it had its knock, whatever it was that happened to them. I know they've patched it up, but it's never looked quite as competitive since then. But they're still there in third place, and they might now be sort of re-incentivised to go after second place. A huge moment for the 97 in the background, as Uvio nearly clattered into the side of the Team Summers number 158 car. But just a few cars again starting to run out of grip, and that means that that spectre of a safety car that's sort of looming over everyone, it's not beyond the realms of possibility, is it, that we could have another drama that could really change the complexion of the race. Grand Prix now 15 laps down after that latest visit to the pit lane, 17th place. Not really likely now to gain any more positions out of this or any more points. 27.9 seconds in the lead, so one of the lap times comparing Rudd to, well, now that was a very slow lap for the race leader last time round, Simon Rudd, at 1:24.3, 2.6 seconds slower than MJ Tech. So I can only imagine Simon had traffic. He's certainly in traffic now as he comes across the line.
Yeah.
But that means that gap is just starting to shrink again.
And let's be honest, it's fast traffic as well.
Yeah. That's true, actually. Yeah, that was Signature RV, Ratters Racing, and Morpheus 109. Putting a lap down. So this is the battle for 9th place, basically, that Simon Rudd is lapping. But that lap again was a 23.5. What can Scott Jeffs do? Here he comes across the line now, 33.5 minutes to go. And he does a 22.0, so a second and a half gained. And of course it's unlikely that Scott Jeffs will catch this same traffic before he hands the car back over at the next and final pit stop. So if he could gain any time here, that could prove very useful indeed. There goes Simon Rudd past the Ratters Racing car, which didn't make life easy for him. It's a 10th place car now going a lap down, and before too much longer he'll lap the 9th place car as well. GRD lead, 26.3 seconds their lead over MJ Tech Racing in second. Uvio Hopper's Lotus are a further 3 seconds back in third. They have got then about 15 seconds in hand over Seed Data, number 214, which means they must have lapped PLR, but I can't actually see PLR Racing on track around them. No, sorry, I'm misreading the time screen. EDF are laps down, Greenheath are laps down, aren't they, after their issue up at Rocket. This is Ratters Racing, though, at the inside of B49, and this is for position. This is Ratters Racing defending 10th place. So these two cars both still running well inside the top 10. They've slipped off the lead lap now, Richard, but still enjoying a very, very entertaining battle for a spot inside the top 10.
Yeah, running well, and Signature RV has a look at a partially open door. Now we've got a little bit of a tension from behind because we've got the JPR Team GT car, which has got Jack Noller at the wheel for the penultimate stint. Gives Jack a chance to get himself away, as you heard, ready for the Mazda race.
Leader is in, by the way, Richard, so this is Olympian GRD in. They are not refueling, I can tell you. So Olympian GRD are in. It looks like an alright stop, not the fastest that I've seen. A bit leisurely on shutting the door. They do now send Riley Phillips on his way, and that he's going to get out, actually, just in front of MJ Tech, who haven't yet stopped. So that shows the sort of margin that they had. So MJ Tech still aren't going to claim the lead, even though they haven't yet pitted. But that was a no-fuel stop for Olympian GRD, so that was the answer to our question. They didn't need any more.
Well, they don't think they needed any more.
I've seen that happen before.
Well, yeah.
I've seen that happen before.
To be fair, looking at the the results for this year, we don't worry too much about drop scores at this stage of the season, but that would be the one that we would think about. So yeah, none too shabby at all. Yeah. But yeah, battling about to get underway. So how is this going to pan out? Are we going to see a challenge for position now? We are seeing him off for the moment, isn't he? Will's got to take stock now for a lap or so, and then maybe get back on the case and do it again.
Yeah, well, he ended up on the dirt coming out of Rocket. That will have got dirt on his tyres, and that slows you down for a couple of corners. He's sliding again now through the banking.
It's taking the wind out of his sails, isn't it? For
yes. So up towards Church they go, and I don't think Abraham's going to be close enough this time so they can get to work on that car ahead of race number 2. So they drop another lap down. That matters little, although a bad result for Morbius will matter in the championship. A great result though for Olympian GRD, who slide their way to victory. Riley Phillips, Simon Rudd and Chris Davell, winners in Fun Cup at Anglesey. There's contact meanwhile there for second place, and that's Farkini bouncing off the left rear corner of Will Abraham's car, and Farkini goes back through again. He will not back down, and bits of Uvio car shedding across the front of the MJ Tech machine, but Farkini I think might be okay in second place now.
He's got to be now, isn't he? Literally, I mean, how many times have we seen it?
Is that damaged? The left
is damaged,
just
isn't it?
Bodywork, maybe.
Yeah, that's game over, isn't it? We knew that anyway once they got out of Rocket.
Yeah.
With Farkini in front, second position was done. That car's going to make it back, I think. Not too far to go. Good job we're not on the international.
Indeed so. Well, Farkini and Fabulous finish in second place. Who would have thought it? That was a mammoth defensive drive from Farkini. Trophy.